The legislature is processing a special budget meant to strengthen Taiwan's civil defenses as threats from China intensify.
中国近年来持续不断地来进行这个灰色地带的袭扰，所以我们必须要正视它，我们必须要警觉。
The Coast Guard ramps up patrols near undersea cables amid fears they could be targets. At Semicon, a senior Czech official talks collaboration between Taiwan and the Czech Republic.
So I would say that Czech Republic is a true friend of Taiwan and a promising and a reliable partner in all these sectors.
Plus, the US and China's defense chiefs have held a rare call. We find out what they may have discussed.
I'm guessing that the South China Sea and the issue of the Philippines might have gotten a little bit more airtime.
Welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Yvonne Yang. Taiwan's cabinet has passed a new special budget focusing on boosting resilience and improving the country's defense. As Alan Liu reports, it's a direct response to China's increasing gray zone threats.
This is the Hualien, Taiwan's fourth 1,000-ton patrol vessel. Just delivered to the Coast Guard, it's part of the country's efforts to boost domestic shipbuilding. Now, Taiwan is looking to pour even more resources into this area, with a proposed $272 million for new vessels designed to withstand strong winds, heavy seas, and collisions. It's just part of a $17.2 billion special budget put forward by the Lai administration, focused on boosting resilience. The plan is getting support from some in Taiwan's legislature. Chen Guanting, a lawmaker on Taiwan's Foreign Affairs and Defense Committee, told TaiwanPlus that Taiwan should build more small and medium-sized high-speed vessels and step up coordination with the Navy and local fisheries to respond more effectively. But beyond maritime security, the special budget would also strengthen cybersecurity and battlefield preparedness, while investing in domestic drone production. It comes amid increasing Chinese aggression against Taiwan in what the cabinet calls Beijing's hybrid warfare, which combines military intimidation with gray zone warfare, strategies that fall short of open conflict, but are intended to wear down Taiwan's military.
中国近年来持续不断地来进行这个灰色地带的袭扰，那并同这个军事行动的规则，我们不能够对这样的威胁的存在呢视而不见，所以我们必须要正视它，我们必须要警觉。
Analysts say this approach is intensifying.
我的观察是，这预算对台湾非常重要，因为现在整个中国的威胁是从灰色地带行动转向高强度灰色，也就是英文可能分法是这种从 light gray 变成 dark gray 的部分。这是它的整个就是样态的转变。
In addition to traditional military hardware, Taiwan is putting more emphasis on what it calls a whole-of-society resilience approach, which combines official responses to emergencies or disasters with a strong civil defense. The special budget will now go to the legislature, where it looks likely to get a majority vote. Dolphin Chen and Alan Liu for TaiwanPlus.
As part of efforts to improve Taiwan's maritime security, the Coast Guard is stepping up patrols near its undersea cables. These lifelines, which connect Taiwan to the world, are tempting targets for China. Tiffany Wong has more.
Troubled waters off Taiwan's southern shores. The country's Coast Guard patrols for threats to communication infrastructure. 24 undersea cables keep the country online and connected to the world. But as tensions with China rise, they have become targets of Beijing's gray zone warfare, strategies that fall short of open conflict but wear down Taiwan's defenses. Captain Yuan Zongqing has seen this firsthand. In February, his crew detained a Chinese captain that sabotaged one of Taiwan's cables.
侵扰的行为已经严重破坏到我们台湾社会的一个安定及稳定性了。那我们还是一样要坚守我们的主权，还有维护渔民作业的安全。那维护我们这个蓝色国土。
That captain was later sentenced to 3 years in prison for cutting the cable between Taiwan and its outlying Penghu Islands, severing communication for hours. But it was not the first such attack on Taiwan's undersea cables. Experts say they could be one of the first targets should China go on the offensive.
当一旦有比较 serious conflict 的时候，第一件事情常常就会 damage 这个 undersea cable。所以当台湾的 undersea cable 被 damage， 不管是 intentional 或 unintentional， 不是只有台湾关心，其实全世界都非常关心，因为它代表下一个更严重的 conflict 有可能会产生。
Experts point to Ukraine in 2022. During the invasion, Russia targeted TV towers and was suspected of sabotaging Ukraine's natural gas pipelines. They say China is likely to use similar strategies to weaken Taiwan's defenses ahead of larger attacks. But protecting Taiwan's undersea cables, in addition to its rescue and policing duties, is stretching the Coast Guard thin. Practices such as flags of convenience, where vessels are registered, crewed, or owned by different countries, also make it difficult to tell friend from foe.
以前并没有这个任务的范畴，那可是现在就变成多了一个状况要多去进行处置。
With Taiwan pouring resources into protecting its infrastructure, China's gray zone tactics are already stretching the Coast Guard thin. Even without the cutting of cables, it may be a sign of rougher seas ahead. Luffy Li and Tiffany Wong for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan has issued new rules for civil servants who travel to China. The Mainland Affairs Council, which handles relations with China, announced the rule changes on Thursday. Anyone who works at a cabinet-level agency and travels to Hong Kong or Macau will have to register their plans regardless of why they're going. They will also have to say if they plan to meet with people who hold a certain rank or position. This new system takes effect today, but there will be a grace period of about 1 year.
但是如果你现在不遵守或是对规定不熟悉，我们暂时不会做惩罚的动作。那要到明年7月1号开始，如果还是有人不按照规定，就要开始做惩处。
These new rules come at a time when tensions between Taiwan and China are high. The new rules are part of efforts to stop sensitive information being leaked to Beijing. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has talked with Chinese Defense Minister Dong Jun via video call. Hegseth said that the U.S. is not seeking conflict with China or regime change in Beijing. But he did say the U.S. has Asia-Pacific interests it will protect. Dong said non-confrontation should be the bottom line for both sides. But he also stressed China's claim to Taiwan and said any military attempt to defend Taiwan's sovereignty or use Taiwan to contain China would fail. And for a look at what the call between the U.S. and Chinese defense chiefs could mean, John Van Trieste spoke to Professor Jia Yan-chong at the National University of Singapore.
So it's hardly been a smooth few months in U.S.-China ties, and lately China has shown off both its military might and its diplomatic clout with this big military parade in Beijing. So what do you make of the timing of this call between the U.S. and Chinese defense ministers?
So the call seems to be an effort to manage relations, to keep things on a more or less even keel. So it's actually pretty hard to read into the timing. Yes, there's the big parade, there's the renaming of the Defense Department to the War Department, but I suppose more broadly, we do see greater tensions in the South China Sea with regard to the Philippines especially, and of course they're a U.S. ally, and we've recently had reports of PRC drilling off of the Pratas. So I suppose those kinds of actual events may probably weigh much more than just the parade.
So Hegseth during the call referred to certain U.S. interests that he said the U.S. would not be abandoning. Do you think he may have been referring to Taiwan? And what are the implications of the call for Taiwan?
With regard to Taiwan, it is clear, it's been clear for a long time that the U.S. sees the stability of the Taiwan area and the Western Pacific as quite key to its interests. So I suppose in that regard, it has to do with Taiwan. But the call probably has a lot more than just Taiwan. If you look at Dong Jun's response, he made a much longer reference to the South China Sea about foreign actors trying to stir trouble in the South China Sea. So from that, I'm guessing that the South China Sea and the issue with the Philippines might have gotten a little bit more airtime.
And so since this call, we've also seen a call between, the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi. Do you see this as a sign of a thaw? Could we see, for instance, a Trump-Xi meeting in the future? And may other areas besides defense, trade, for instance, be also eased?
So, whether there's a sort of greater easing, I think it's difficult to tell from the calls. Now, whether that has implications for trade, we don't really know. Plus, calls between secretaries are good and they're important, but we also know that in this administration, the president calls the shots very directly, and sometimes he can have his own very clear change of direction.
That was Professor Jia Yan-chong from the National University of Singapore. The U.S. House of Representatives has authorized around $900 billion in defense spending and up to $1 billion for a security cooperation program with Taiwan. It's part of the House's version of the annual National Defense Authorization Act. Some members rejected amendments that would have blocked funding to Taiwan and Ukraine. The Senate is working on its own version of the bill, which would add another $32 billion in spending. The two chambers will later compromise and vote on a final version before sending it to U.S. President Donald Trump for approval. A phone call between Vice President Bi Khim-hsiao and a U.S. senator has put to rest rumors about the replacement of Taiwan's envoy. Hsiao posted an image of herself on a video call with Senator Bill Hagerty to X. The image appeared to show Taiwan's representative to the U.S., Alexander Yu, also on the call. Recent media reports speculated that Yu had fallen out of favor with U.S. counterparts and would be replaced by National Security Council Senior Advisor Xu Sijian. Senior officials have called these reports false and said that Yu will continue his duties in the United States. More than 300 South Korean workers rounded up in an immigration raid in the U.S. last week are set to fly home on a chartered plane. The workers at carmaker Hyundai's plant in the state of Georgia will leave with the status of voluntary departure rather than deportation. U.S. President Donald Trump offered to have the workers stay and train American workers, but only one has decided to do so. South Korean President Lee Jae-myung said the incident could affect Korean companies' plans to invest in the United States. And coming up after the break, the New York Yankees have held their first day honoring Taiwanese heritage. Stay tuned.
Summer may be over, but the game goes on.
大家好，我是林金哲，就读润国小，今年准备升国一，我的国中是长安国中。大家好，我是陈启胜，今年准备升国一，我的国中是长安。
Champions never stop when the summer ends. It's a new season, new challenges, and the same passion for baseball.
假日球队没有练球的时候，去的时候就先热身，然后跳绳，跳完就跑一下步，然后跑完步就丢药球，丢完就开始打球，就不要假日的时候没练球，然后礼拜一练球的时候就会有一点没有球感。
Now the game is rising to a new level, and we've got every swing, every victor, every story.
数学、英文就是比较简单，就是写的不会那么多。
Stay with us for more insights, only on Game On Taiwan.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. A new tax framework is set to take a bite out of influencers' earnings. Taiwan's Finance Ministry now defines influencers as people who earn money by publishing creative work or information online. From now on, those with a business in Taiwan, a brand name, sales staff, or online sales above the threshold must register to pay business tax. Small creators will face a 1% VAT, while those with annual turnover about $6,200 would be charged 5% VAT. The rules also cover platforms, advertisers, and audiences with different tax rates depending on whether they're based in Taiwan or overseas. Semicon, one of the world's largest chip industry events, has brought companies, executives, and government officials from around the world to Taipei. That includes the first ministerial visit by Czech Republic officials in decades. Our reporter Chris Gorin got to sit down with one such official at the show.
So I am here with the Czech Deputy Minister of Science, Research, and Innovation, Jana Havlíková. Thank you so much for joining us here.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
So I understand this is your first Semicon in Taiwan, and also you're here with the first ministerial group to visit Taiwan in decades. So what are you hoping to get out of this trip, and what kind of partnerships are you hoping will come through?
And it's really amazing experience for us because our previous visits already was held really strictly on a bilateral level. With bilateral discussions and maybe also bilateral outputs, but now we are experience this international context, and we could talk also with other partners and also see the semiconductor sector in terms of the ministerial level. We see it as a part of natural development of our relations in the area of science and technology.
So do you think this might lead to even more ministerial visits in the future to Taiwan?
I can say it depends, on the opportunities which could be connected with these visits. But I also have to say that we are now hosting a ministerial visit from your side, because if I'm not mistaken, these days there's a festive opening ceremony of an exhibition in our National Museum, and there would be exhibition of collections from your National Palace Museums.
So last October, Taiwan and Czech partners opened the Advanced Chip Design and Research Center in Brno. In the time that has been open, how do you see those projects turning into jobs in the Czech Republic and increasing partnerships with Taiwan?
So this is just one part of a complex, I would say, tool to intensify and deepen our cooperation. And the center in Brno is primarily focused on applied research, and its added value is for me in involvement of Taiwanese companies to the joint project with the Czech Academia, so that we could just think that more people could imagine to work in the semiconductor industry, so that they have perspective. Working in life perspective.
Just in the short time that it's been open, have you noticed more enthusiasm for that career path?
Yes. Yes. Today, this morning, I just had a meeting with the Deputy Minister at NSTC, and we've just, have the opportunity to summarize, the activities already, held in our relations. It's really amazing, because I visited Taiwan 3 years ago, and I really could see the difference, because so many projects and, so many people contacting and communicating with each other, I really do hope that there will be many tangible outputs in the near future.
The European Chips Act has been in effect for about 2 years now. 43 billion euros of investment in the region. What is your hope for how that investment will reach the Czech Republic, but also Europe in general?
We have to admit that Europe lags behind, in the technological sectors, and the European Chips Act is just one of tools how to cope with it and mitigate all these risks connected with it. Within this European Chips Act, we've just established our National Competence Center. We were, I think, maybe the first member country of the European Union to do this.
If there's only one thing that you would like our viewers to know about the Czech-Taiwan tech relationship after this Semicon, what would that be?
So I would say that Czech Republic is a true friend of Taiwan, and a promising and reliable partner in all these sectors.
That was Czech Deputy Science Minister Jana Havlikova. And one key focus at this year's Semicon is female participation in the industry. Our reporter Ai Chi went to one forum to find out more about how the country aims to empower women leaders in the chip sector.
This year marks the 30th anniversary of Semicon, Taiwan's biggest semiconductor event. And while global cooperation and emerging technologies are key talking points, women are also taking center stage, reflecting the industry's ongoing efforts to expand its commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. One forum brought together female senior executives from companies like ASE Group and MediaTek. Speaking about challenges women face in the industry, one major issue: lack of representation in leadership. Female engineers in Taiwan's tech industry make up only about 15% of the workforce, and at the executive level, only about 11% are women. But in the semiconductor sector, that drops to 5%. Speakers at the forum say women need to feel empowered to overcome challenges in the sector, and that women have specific strengths that can be leveraged for career growth. TaiwanPlus met with Olivia Liao, Vice President of United Microelectronics, to find out how women can do this.
可是女性就是我们碰到的时候，我自己观察到的状况是，如果男性对男性的时候，好像大家就会比较硬碰硬，然后不会的，好像比较有面子，就会装懂，然后就结束。但是女性来讲，我们就会比较，我自己就比较不耻下问，人家也会很乐意的告诉你说啊，其实这是这么一回事，那就会比较容易破冰，然后在这件事情上来讲就比较容易解决。我觉得女性的特质就是如同我们知道，就比较细心啊，然后比较沟通能力强啊，其实这个在哪一个领域应该都一样。那我觉得我自己也把这两个特质发挥得很好在这里。那也不只有我，联电总共有18位副总，其中有3位是女性，然后包含我，那另外一位是做成本控管，另外一个是做品质控管，所以我们做的都是属于要很细心，而且需要沟通能力很强的一个工作。
That was Olivia Liao, Vice President of United Microelectronics. As Semicon continues through Friday, more panels will bring together industry leaders from around the world to ensure Taiwan is working with the best to foster fair workplace development. Andy Sher, NIT for TaiwanPlus.
With Semicon 2025 underway in Taiwan, industry leaders from around the world are converging on one of the world's top chip-making hubs. But just how much does Taiwan dominate in the field of semiconductors? TaiwanPlus's Shir Bashi explains the country's strengths and where it is falling behind in this special report from Connected.
The world just can't survive without Taiwanese semiconductors. That is what we often hear. But is that true? Let's break it down. By revenue, South Korea's Samsung was the largest chip maker in the world in 2024. US-based NVIDIA took first place among chip designers, and overall, 3 of the world's 5 largest chip makers were American. But Taiwan's TSMC, which is ranked 3rd, is the largest player purely engaged in fabrication. Taiwan's importance in semiconductors centers on the fabrication of chips, and it's the story of one company that dominates. In 2024, TSMC soared far above all its competitors, with its share of worldwide IC foundry revenue rising to almost 70% of the global market. In total, Taiwan took an estimated 77% of foundry revenue worldwide last year. But that doesn't mean Taiwan produces most of the world's chips. The key to TSMC and Taiwan's dominance is not how much it makes, but what it makes. Of the world's capacity when it comes to older processes, over 40% is in Taiwan, with the share expected to drop as other countries build more capacity. But almost 70% of all capacity in the most advanced production nodes is in Taiwan. This is why Taiwan takes such a huge share of the market. And it isn't only prominent in fabrication. Taiwan is also responsible for over half the market for testing and packaging, a crucially important step in making chips usable. And it has made significant inroads on the other end. It is the 2nd biggest player for chip design, behind only the United States. Taiwan's Semiconductor Industry Association expected $596 billion in total revenue for the industry in 2024. Of that income, 62% was predicted to be in chip manufacturing, mostly foundry and memory production, but a full quarter of Taiwan's turnover in the sector was thanks to designing chips, for everything from mobile processors to communication chips. 3 of the world's largest chip design houses in 2024 came from Taiwan, with powerhouse MediaTek coming in just behind America's AMD.
To watch more from Connected, head over to the TaiwanPlus website or YouTube channel. The New York Yankees have held their first ever Taiwanese Heritage Day. Fans at a baseball game against the Detroit Tigers were able to buy commemorative hats and jerseys. The Yankees often hold events during games to celebrate different cultures, but this was their first dedicated to Taiwanese Americans. The Tigers went on to beat the Yankees 11-1. Taiwan's athletes took home the gold medal at the 2025 World Archery Championships in South Korea on Wednesday. The women's recurve team, led by 2024 Olympian Chou Yiqing, alongside Xu Xinci and Li Caixuan, defeated Japan 6-0. Their victory secured the nation's first gold medal at the championships in 6 years. Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more of our stories. Finally, we bring you to New York, where an ad launched by overseas Taiwanese groups is urging Taiwan's inclusion in the United Nations as the organization's General Assembly begins. I'm Yvonne Yang. Take care, and I'll see you next time.